Odds came out. Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway. My partners at DraftKings posted these. And I love to play this game with you guys. Like when I go down to our comment section, this is one of the most interactive parts. So I'm going to keep this going, which is to re-ask you the same question and then give you a second to think. Because I really do want an answer. Who do you think is the favorite? DraftKings, Topuria, Holloway, odds came out. Who do you think is the favorite? Pause, drum roll, Topuria. Now, history would say that that is true. And people so often, falsely, I honestly don't know why, say that MMA math doesn't work. MMA math is not foolproof, but it is the best piece of data that we have. Max losing to Volk 3 times, Topuria defeating Volk. It matters. But how much? It matters. You're taking a bookie and it's your money. You've only got so many insiders. You only got so many people that you have the time to call because you're taking odds on all sorts of things. So you're going to start to look at actual data. When you look at the actual data of a common opponent, and it matters how much. Now, I want you to hold that thought, and here's why. Did he beat Volk? Did Topuria beat Volk? That's how what you think. Now, I'm aware he got his hand raised. I'm aware of the punch. I'm aware that there's no controversy. But in these fights, we're attempting to test and have been from day one. From day one in Mobile, Alabama of 1993, we were trying to establish who was better and why, within what discipline. And then the only way that we knew how to do it, and when I say and then, I mean back then, was to do nothing, let them figure it out. No judges, no rules, no time limits, right? All things that maybe we look down on now, but it was in the name and the pursuit of establishing who was better and why. And even if we were putting that within to disciplines, that's the and why part. We've never stopped on that pursuit. It was just somewhere over time we decided we're going to do it within these confines. Instead of just letting them go, wear anything you want, and hit them any way that you want. We're going to do it within a little bit different confines. We're going to do it within 5-minute periods, and we're going to do it within these weight classes. And I'm sharing that with you because you then have the outlier because you have a sport. If you are getting your question completely answered about who is better than who, it only goes on so long. And within how long it goes on and within the confines that we have, and if you don't get it figured out, we're going to turn to the judges, which is going to be blatantly obvious because we all saw it. Now, there is, of course, that Hail Mary pass, which is you knock the guy out. It won't really matter who's better at that point. It won't matter what we've proved and established as far as who is more skilled and why. It won't really matter. We're just going to give it to this other person. And why? Because we can't continue it when that guy's asleep. That makes perfect sense. We all agree to that. And then what happens if you're in an I Quit match? And every single one of these matches is an I Quit match. And that's all that it is. What happens if one guy is whipping the other guy and then says, I quit? He says it about himself. Now, we all saw it, and we all saw it for this guy, and all the judges were seeing it, and they were getting ready to say this guy. But we never got to the point because the guy said, I quit. All right, so now you've got a submission and a knockout, but it's relevant that you know why you have them. And why? Because there was one completed round between Topuria and Volkanovski, and it did not go to Topuria's way. But I'm told that Topuria beat Volkanovski. I'm told that Topuria beat Volkanovski, and that is so important that Topuria is a favorite over Max Holloway based on nothing else. No prior meetings, no linking up themselves. When they were in the same division of 145, the rankings did not support the idea that Topuria could beat Max Holloway. Never, not once, not one day. Whatever that is within the rankings committee and whoever that is that pops up every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and we all have to live within, never, not one time, told the world that Topuria, who had a better record, who was younger, all the things that you're telling me Topuria can beat Max. You're telling me right now that Topuria can beat Max because he's younger. He's got a better record. He's got a common opponent. All of those things were true before Max had left the division and was ranked right alongside Topuria, but none of those mattered then. So I'm just bringing that to you. I'm not telling you that they've got it wrong. I'm not telling you that makes a level of sense, and I'm not even telling you that Max at a plus 150 is a meaningful enough spread. What I'm sharing with you is to make sure that you ask yourself, now that we've established that common opponent matters, We understand the outliers in the sport. We understand the I quit match. We understand we can't continue this if this guy's knocked out. We understand those things, but that's outliers. That was things that were put in place in case. It wasn't the point. It wasn't the point all the way back to 1993. That was about establishing, tactically showing which art was better. When you have the body of work, not who won, when you have the body of work between Topuria and Volk, you have 7 minutes. You know what you're looking at. If I had stopped that 30 seconds before it ended, and you never knew. You never knew it was a knockout. You just had Topuria versus Volk. You had them fight. You had 7 minutes of them fighting. That's a lot. If you had that, would you then believe that Max couldn't beat Topuria? Because there's something that you saw within that body of work and within that common opponents. Did you see 7 minutes that were more lopsided than other 7-minute periods within Max's fight, right? Like, you can never just look at the outcome. You can't do that. You miss it. And your answer to this could be yes. This is not like an experiment that could blow up in my face. I'm telling you what to make sure that you look for. Because if you are looking for a common opponent, that's what matters. And you are looking at record, and that's what matters. And you are looking at use, and that's what matters. And therefore, Chael, you're disproven. I say, well, I'm not heavily disproven because he's only a plus 150. That's pretty close. If all the things in the other direction, which my own partners at DraftKings are saying matters, if they matter, how much? How much do they matter? We have a body of work of 7 minutes of Topuria versus Volk that you're dismissing Volk and telling me how much better Topuria is. And I'm asking, is that what you really saw? When you watched them fight, is that what you really saw? And if so, where? Where was Topuria better than Volk? If I ran, we were on the last 30 seconds. You don't ever know that happened. Where was it that he was better? Was he better boxing? Was he better striking? Was it kickboxing? Was it the use of the knees? Was it the clinch work? Was it the groundwork? Was it a submission game? What is it that you saw? And the truth is, you needed that other 30 seconds, and you needed that outlier. So now you're talking about his power. Now you're talking about his boxing. Now you're telling me that he's a knockout artist. Okay, great. Then are you telling me that you think he's going to outbox and knock out Max Holloway? You must be. Why else would have you brought it up? Why else would have you brought up his power and his boxing if you don't think he's going to use the power and the boxing against Max? And do you see, even if you're rolling with Topuria, go right ahead. Do you see where it becomes hard? Do you see where it becomes a little bit hard to make this argument? I mean, you can see why we haven't had $100,000 laid down, right? And that happens at DraftKings all the time. They have that opening line, which always moves, and somebody thinks it's great action and comes and brings in a jackpot full of money, which is what moves the line in the first place. We had somebody go in and put $1 million on Mayweather to beat McGregor, and even though it was 8-1, they're like, man, that's the easiest $80,000 I'm ever going to make. Like, I'm sharing with you, these are the days and these are the moments, and it's not going to happen. You're not going to be the first. Because the more you think about that common opponent, the more you're forced to think about the fight with the common opponent. And it just changes things. It just makes things interesting. Topuria has been very respectful of Max. Max has been very respectful of Topuria. Like, that is starting to change, but thus far, these boys are fighting over the featherweight title. It's not personal yet. One guy hasn't stepped forward and said, I can beat you, and here's why, and here's what your weaknesses are. They haven't done that yet. And I'm predicting for you, if it does come down to it, and they start throwing some of those daggers about the X's and O's and about the tactics, they themselves are going to realize that this is a damn close fight.